Hi, y'all. Today I'm going to start a few of my seeds for the fall planting season. It's a little bit early, but I'm trying something a little bit new this year. I usually don't start anything until about the middle of September, but I decided I want to try this year getting some things done just before mid August and see how everything turns out. It's still quite warm, so I'm expecting not great results, but I just want to test some things out and see what happens. I store my seeds in a dual three ring binder. I started doing this about maybe 2 or 3 years ago just because I got tired of the boxes and everything. And this binder zips closed so everything stays in. Even if something slides out of a packet, it's still going to stay inside the binder. It's not going to get lost in the bottom of a box. It's got pockets and dividers, and I store the seeds in the little pockets that they make for trading card storage. And it's been working out pretty good for me. These plastic dividers I use for sorting out the seeds that I'm planning on starting so that I have them handy. So I'll flip through, find the ones that I want, I'll stick them in a pocket. And I've got a couple of these in here so that if they're for different areas, I can just separate them that way, and it just makes it a little bit easier for me to find what I need. While I'm doing this, I'm using my undisturbed time to watch some of my favorite gardeners on YouTube. The kids are hanging out inside, and I'm outside getting ready to start some seeds. I already made a grid of what's going to go in what seed starting tray. So I'm just going through the seeds at this point, making the um, plant tags that are going to go into those sections so that I've got them all in the same spot, and I'll use that paper as my guide if any of the tags happen to fall out. I initially was going to use a Sharpie marker to write on the craft sticks that I got from Dollar Tree, but they're not allowing the ink from the pen to work without bleeding all over the sticks. So I'm just going to switch to a pencil, and that will hold up a little bit better for me as I'm watering and won't rub off. Seed starting is a pretty mundane activity. I know a lot of people don't like to do it. It can be a little bit tedious for me, but if I'm in the mood for it, I can sit and do this for hours on end. I usually will end up starting way more seeds than I need, but there's just something about pulling out the seeds and all the hope that comes from each one of those packets. You get to try things that you can't find in the store, things you've never heard of, things you've never tasted, and then you can even share some of those seeds because there's usually more seeds in the pack than you actually need. So if you've got some fellow gardeners, you can call them up and say, "Hey, I've got some of this. You want to try it? What do you have? Let me get a little bit of that." Here in Southwest Florida, we're zone 10A, so we don't really worry about frost. We can pretty much sow seeds year round. There are a few that are recommended that we wait a little bit later in the year. Things like brassicas that really thrive in cooler weather because our cold, and I use that word very, very loosely, our cold period is such a short time and the cold really isn't all that cold. So we really should be waiting until probably almost October to get those seeds started. But you see, I am going to start a few of them in August just to see what happens. Tomatoes are one of the things that we should start usually in the spring or in the late winter so that they have a chance to grow through the summer. I am surrounded by gardeners, or I should say farmers, who grow tomatoes. And our area is the number one producer of tomatoes for the entire United States. So those guys really know that they can grow them through the summer. But because I grow organically, it's really hard for me to keep my tomatoes healthy through the summer. It's so hot, and every insect that you can think of is out trying to take out the plants. So I prefer to start my tomatoes in the fall, along with the majority of my crops. And I just let them grow. They will lull a little bit as our temperatures start to cool off, but they grow right through our winters. And as long as we don't get a hard freeze, then they're usually fine. If we do get a little bit too cool, like down into the 30s, we do have to cover them or we risk losing the entire plant. So I'm just laying out my trays with the sticks in the order that they are on my pre-made grid. And I'm going to start some music and just kind of rush through this process and let you see what I'm doing. So now that I got all the plant tags done and ready to go, I'm just going to go back through my seeds and put them in the order that they are in the grid so that I can do this systematically without hunting for the packs as I'm ready to put the seeds into the seed starting mix. Doing it this way avoids me putting the wrong seeds into a particular cell in the seed planter. So just for me, everybody's got to find their own way to do this because it's your rhythm, it's your style. And if you try to follow somebody else's way of doing it, it just might not work for you and it could be disastrous. Um, I am really trying to be a lot more organized this gardening season. So I'm putting forth a little bit more effort from even my seed starting trays to how I'm going through the entire process, making a log of when I'm starting seeds, when I need to check them, when they were watered, when did they come up. And I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that being a little bit more organized gets me a better situation in my garden. Now it's time to get my tray out and get it snapped together so I can start getting messy. Going against the grain of everything anybody's ever been taught when starting seeds and gardening, I don't typically pre moisten all of my soil before I get it put into my seed starting cells. I will wet the tops just enough that it'll hold the seeds in place as I'm planting them, but the rest of it doesn't get any water until it wicks up from the bottom. I will fill the tray with water and let it wick up slowly over time. It's pretty hot here, so seeds typically germinate faster than what it says on the packet. So it doesn't bother me that the seed is going to sit there for a little bit before the entire cell is filled with water. So it's just what I do. So I'm going through this process and putting these seeds in, and I'm just going to pop the cover of the packet on the screen for you to see what it is that I'm planting. I did lose some of the footage for the larger seed trays, so it'll be helpful at the end. You'll see that I've just listed all of the seeds that I started in those. Mostly it's brassicas, but there were a few other things also.